What, you have a podcast?
Want to talk to your brother? Start a podcast, right?
They're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets. I probably took a bullet to the head. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Recovery from Politics Podcast. My name is Kyle Frame and I am your host today. Today is Wednesday, September 18th, 2024. So it has been a while. I've been meaning to get back to you. I just bought some new software. I actually did invest in that. The free stuff was giving me issues. I was having a lot of trouble uploading basic files. By the way, my kids are home today. It's a random stay home from school day that the school district decided to pull on me. So the door is shut. The cats are unhappy about that. I do apologize in advance. But basically I felt, I'm not really ready to roll this out yet. The software is still new. It's very different from what I'm accustomed to. This might only go out in audio form. But I feel compelled to speak because yesterday was a brand new day in the war against terror, we hope. So yesterday, thousands of people's mobile devices, let's say that, just randomly exploded simultaneously in the country of Lebanon. And we are guessing that they were all Hezbollah fighters. Hezbollah is an organization that Israel and the United States consider a terrorist one. They have close ties to Iran. They operate primarily out of Lebanon. They have been launching rockets into Israel, especially since October 7th. So, sure, they're bad guys. Let's go ahead and let's just call them that. So there's video of all these explosives going off, and a lot of right-wing and pro-Israel individuals here in the United States are calling this ingenious, a masterstroke, the next era in cyber warfare. Like their war boners are just out, right? They're just raging over it. They think it's great. And it's pretty much everywhere. You will find people who are just like, oh, this was so smart of them to do this. This was amazing. Now I have several issues with it. First off, again, kind of my guiding mantra. If your worst enemy did this, what would you think? So it's one thing to say, this is how I fight becoming an ideological, or personality-driven individual. It's like, oh, it's cool when Biden does it, but it sucked when Trump did it. Like no, let's do this. Would I give credit to my worst enemy if they did it? Would I blame them, or would the roles reverse at all? Is it something like I don't want to become one of those people who I only like it when my side does it? Like, no, we should take the win where the win happens. We should also suffer the loss no matter which side does it. So in this case, it was very natural for me to think, okay, role reversed. Let's say Hezbollah did this to Israel or a bunch of Americans. What would the response be? And since, some people are pointing to, well, Americans don't have pagers because these were primarily pager devices, I would go ahead and say, well, okay, so hypothetically, the United States police, say the DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, or, the FBI, someone in coordination with local police, said they blew up all the pagers involved in drug trafficking in the city of Baltimore, Maryland. Okay, so picture The Wire, but now every drug dealer's, pager blows up. And it's okay because they were criminals, they were committing those crimes, right? Now, here in the United States, you would hope that something like that would never happen because that would be definite infringement on civil rights. You can't just drone strike American civilians, and that's essentially what this is. Although, granted, much smaller, much more contained than an actual drone strike. You're not, hopefully, taking down a building. But my issue almost immediately was they set off thousands of these simultaneously. in an entire country. Very wide swath. Now, first off, we are taking whose word for it that these people are Hezbollah? And the only reason I bring that up is because go check out Guantanamo Bay. We have a very serious issue where people in the Middle East, in Iraq, were saying, oh no, that person worked for Al-Qaeda. There was no evidence of that. It was just we were taking the word of their neighbor who probably fucking hated him because he didn't trim his goddamn hedges, right? There are people in Guantanamo Bay right now who never should have been there, have no ties to terrorism whatsoever. We just took the word of whoever said it at the time. So you're telling me that we have accurately identified thousands of Hezbollah members. Hezbollah fighters is the word they're using, not members, fighters. They're all fighters, as if each one of them is secretly trained in hand-to-hand combat and could kill you at a moment's notice. That's how we're treating these people. That's how we're labeling them. Okay, so we're trusting Israel, of all people right now, who should be, persona non grata when it comes to trustworthiness on the world stage. We're trusting them that they blew up only terrorist fighters. Hezbollah fighters. Even if you accept that as a premise, they set off thousands of little pocket bombs throughout an entire country with no regard for who those people were next to. There's specific video footage of a guy, he's going grocery shopping, his hip explodes. There were 3 people around him. Okay, shrapnel is a very real thing. So you do have the possibility for civilian casualties. This is also very indiscriminate. What if one of these people, you ever see one of those giant propane tanks outside of usually a restaurant or something? Well, what if they're standing next to one of those and this thing goes off? Or, as somebody went ahead and posted online, is like, gee, I'm so glad none of them were on a plane. God forbid one of these people had their phone in their right pocket and they were sitting next to the emergency door on an air flight, right? Because we don't know. There's no oversight whatsoever. Excuse me. Israel has not claimed any responsibility for this. They have made no statements. Of course, everyone just knows it's them. Even the U.S. Nobody's denying it was Israel. Nobody's like, oh no, Israel would never. No, that never happened. So that to me is very disturbing. And again, this is also something that has destroyed the infrastructure of Lebanon, which, let's be honest, is not a first world country with dealing with first world problems. Their doctors are still operating with pagers. Guess who wasn't picking up their pagers yesterday? Doctors. I mean, seriously, how many lives were lost on the periphery of this just because of it? And then imagine it again over here in the United States. Imagine someone was able to target a bunch of Americans. And let's say you're lucky. Your family's okay. Your friends are okay. You don't actually know anybody whose phone exploded. But still, a lot of phones exploded. How do you call your parents? Somebody's phone just exploded. And because of the news, thousands of people's phones are just randomly exploding. You don't even know why yet. Okay, you don't know if it's a coordinated attack or just some bug in the software. I think it was Samsung at that point had some weird headphones that blew up or something, or overcharged. But seriously, you don't know why. You just know people pick up their phones and they explode. Try calling your parents. How do you call your parents to make sure they're okay? How do you call your siblings to be like, hey, exactly. It would freeze everything for a period of time. There would be days where people would be utterly afraid of picking up their phone. For fuck's sake, after 9/11, there were a lot of people who refused to fly ever the fuck again. And sure, a lot of them were able to get over it, I hope. It's been 23 years. But still, you've got a serious amount of people. The United States would cease to function for a brief period. No one would pick up their phone. Fear. And again, that's another thing I'd like to, talk about is fear is very powerful right now. There are a lot of people in Lebanon afraid to use their mobile devices. If anyone else did this, No one would be calling it genius, ingenious, a masterstroke, cyber warfare taken to the next level. No one would be championing this action. If roles were reversed, we would call it what it is. It's terrorism. You indiscriminately bombed civilian target centers. You were putting civilians' lives at risk, and you knew it. This was not some targeted, hey, we're only going to take out a few key lieutenants. Okay? If the story were only 5 very specific pagers to very specific high-level individuals who we all knew were, in relatively low risk, like there was actually intelligence thought about. No, somebody just hit the button and blew up thousands of these things all at once with no warning and no regard for where these people were or who even held them. Do your kids ever touch your cell phone? Do your kids ever touch anything of yours? And remember, things that happen overseas eventually gets over here. There is a lot of attention being paid to how warfare is being fought in Ukraine right now. It's kind of a breeding ground. That's one of the things, like everybody will admit, war is kind of a breeding ground for innovation. Like, how do you do this? You want to ask anyone what the Ukraine war has really done, like the big eye-opening holy shit thing? Drones. Those little tiny drones you can buy on Amazon. Just how much explosives can you get onto those fuckers? How effective are they? And then you go ask the Russian military what they've done to their tanks. That will find its way over here. The police already use drones. The state is already investing in drones. One of the largest things you could be involved in right now if you were a military contractor is drone manufacturing. It is a very real thing. It's also something that the United States quickly realized, hey, if Ukrainians can build this in their garage, we're going to have serious issues coming up here if, for any reason, there's a weird kind of insurgency here in the United States. The mad bomber trope is about to be the mad bomber with a shit ton of drones. So, because I know what's going on in Ukraine, because I know that that information has traveled over to here, I know that this is going to travel as well. And I don't like it. Either somebody's going to figure out how to hack your device to blow it up, or the state is going to be working on this. That's another thing. I got in a conversation with somebody yesterday talking about, this had to be involved with the Americans, right? I don't buy for 1 second that Israel has this all super powerful, all-knowing intelligence operation going on, okay? They are the United States in October 2001, okay? They all missed something, and they're just scrambling to pick up the pieces. The United States intelligence operation has faltered significantly. That's not saying it's not very powerful and can still do some stuff, but I have a hard time believing this was Israel all by itself. I do. I really do. If anything, if you ask me what the most likely scenario is, I think the State Department at some level, again, I don't know, shared this with the IDF or the Mossad. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Their intelligence agency is like, yeah, we can do this. We're saving it. We can use it once as a freak accident, right? Like if a pager just all of a sudden blows up in, say, Vladimir Putin's hip pocket and kills him, if he bleeds out, we can say it's a freak accident. There's that plausible deniability because, oh, fuck, this never happened before. But after that, it's pretty much a done deal, And then Israel's like, oh, yeah, no. We'll just use it for the one guy, But I could easily, especially given their history in the last 11 months, see them take something that was intended as friendly sharing of information. Hey, this is a one use it on one very specific guy. It's a targeted thing. And them just saying, nah, we're going to blow them all the fuck up. Because that's their mentality right now. Okay. I have issues there. Until I see otherwise, I'm going to believe the United States, at least tangentially, it had some kind of communication or involvement in this. I don't know the level. But I do believe the United States was involved at some level. I don't know what level. Until proven otherwise, I'm going to say no. Because also, the United States was very quick to not have answers for once. It was very strange. The HR person, when asked, about the legality of this, just blatantly was like, well, I'm not a lawyer. and people asked about, well, the Geneva Conventions say specifically you can't just indiscriminately blow up civilian centers. Would you classify this as a war crime? And it's like, oh, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that one. Like, it's yeah. This sounds like something they knew could happen, and they really hoped didn't happen, and then just like shuffled it under the rug. Like, yeah, no, let's hope they don't do that. I also have, another issue regarding why. This is clearly a one-time thing. Okay. You can rest assured, if you're worried about your cell phone exploding right now, you can rest assured that your cell phone company is working very hard to make sure that there is no way that can happen, because the last thing you want is to find out every Apple phone is a potential bomb. And I guarantee you that every government in the country, including ours, is working on counterterrorism to the level that will prevent this from happening. So I guarantee you right now the government and all mobile device companies are working very hard to make sure that their devices cannot be used in this way against their own people. Okay, that's a death knell to the company. That's a death knell to the country. The last thing you want is all your people suddenly afraid to pick up the goddamn phone. So that's why I said this is a one-time thing. This will likely never happen again. Or if it does ever happen again, it will be because, our enemies are in such a third world backward state that they had to buy the cheapest, equipment possible. And, but why would you do this? Why show everyone your hand? It's kind of a Hiroshima Nagasaki moment, right? One of the arguments against dropping the bomb on Japan in World War II was, hey, yeah, you can do this, but then the genie's out of the bottle. Everyone's going to know you have this. And everyone, our adversaries, specifically the Soviet Union at the time, will want one, right? So if your intelligence agency didn't know this was a thing, now they do. Now every country wants to do this. Now every country wants to prevent it, and every country wants to do it. Congratulations, you have opened a new door to cyber warfare. Congrats. Why? What was this for? Okay? Hezbollah, sure. Whatever. We all know Israel and Hezbollah have issues. Fine. Whatever. But again, what is the point of this? Hezbollah wasn't involved in October 7th. That was Hamas, who you are killing at record numbers, and as well as all the civilians around them. What was the point of this? And the only thing I can come back to is, when Trump was leading in the polls, and it was Trump versus Biden, you got to be pretty happy if you're Netanyahu. You're like, hey, whoever wins, I win, right? Trump is going to continue to fund everything, and he'll have the upside of not judging me publicly or privately. Like, he won't give a fuck. And Biden, even though he comes with that whole Catholic guilt thing, like, he's going to keep funding me, and he doesn't give a fuck. So if you're Bibi Netanyahu, that was the perfect election for you. Both sides, 100% in the bag. But then Kamala Harris enters the race. Now, she has said all the right things if you're pro-Israel. Israel has a right to defend itself. We will always support our allies, blah, blah, blah. I will always fund them. They'll get all their weapons, all that. No conditions. And she, the DNC is clearly under your thumb because they didn't even bother to have a Palestinian person speak at their entire convention. Not even 2 minutes for them. So you should be feeling okay, but she's still not as full-throated support of Israel the way that Biden is. She actually seems to say things that would suggest she cares about the Palestinian lives. And worse off, she is projected currently to win the popular vote, as is every single other Democratic president in my lifetime, or candidate. But, it's 50-50 on the Electoral College. Who knows? Who knows who will be president this time next year? Could be Harris, could be Trump again. But now Netanyahu's in a corner. What if the polls show the momentum of Harris and he's getting nervous? And he's like, well, I need Western support right now. And Western support is dwindling because everyone thinks we've taken it way too far because we've killed everyone like 4,400 to 1. We have successfully murdered the shit out of the Palestinian people. Yay. But unfortunately, it's come with a PR cost. And a lot of people are starting to question America's support. They're starting to question, why is this all unconditional? Why do we condition Ukraine? Like, we have conditions on Ukraine. We give Ukraine weapons, and then we say, okay, now, you're not allowed to use this under these circumstances. But there are no conditions whatsoever for Israel. Like, people do see the two scenarios, and they are smart enough to go, these don't look the way they should look. This looks wrong to me. So, I do think that if you're Netanyahu, and you know the second this war is over, that you're out of office, because while the polls are very much in favor. I think it's like 90% of Israelis totally support what he's doing in Gaza and love it and wish he would do more of it. Like, it's crazy. The Israel people are complicit with this. It's not some crazy lunatic at top. There are a lot of people wish casting, oh, if we could just get rid of Netanyahu, it would all be better. No, his replacement likely would be worse. It really just depends. Okay, and that is not a defense of Netanyahu. That's not a suggestion that we should keep him. By all means, kick him the fuck out, but just realize he is not the problem. He is just the current person running it, okay? The next person will be at least as bad. Possibly worse, just because you can always get worse. But the next person's not going to be a step back, okay? But even though the Israeli people are 90% behind him on Gaza, when it comes to everything else, they fucking hate this guy. This guy's trying to rewrite their constitution and reform the courts so that he's in power forever. That he's basically God Emperor of Israel. They don't want that. They hate that. They want their genocidal maniac to be democratically elected, goddammit. More power to them. Sure, they get to be able to decide their own fate, but no one else can. Okay, whatever. So Netanyahu knows as soon as this war's over, I'm going to lose my cover that, you know, we shouldn't change leadership in the middle of this. But I can only keep killing Palestinians for so much longer before the West is going to find it unpalatable. Not only that, they're a finite resource. Eventually, I will run out of them to kill. Then what? Well, I can't start war with Egypt. Because the United States may not do that. But there is this very convenient country in the Middle East that the United States has been just chomping at the bit for a really long time. They're called Iran. And if I can start shit with Iran by, you know, drone striking them, if I can bomb within their borders, if I can indiscriminately target Arab civilians that have a connection to Iran, if I can fucking poke Iran hard enough that Iran retaliates in such a way that the United States will have to get involved, then I get to stay in. Right? It's the same thought process that, like, why is Trump running? I honestly don't think he really wants to be president. I mean, he likes the grandeur of it. He likes the spectacle of being president. But the actual governing part, like, he doesn't give a shit. You know, it was a joke, but Mara was right. It's like, just make him a fucking king. Let him be king. Give him a crown. You know, don't actually let him govern anything. Make him like a just a figurehead. Just fucking make him king. He'll be happy. He'll go away. And then we can get back to governing elsewhere. Like, it was a joke, but I honestly do believe that. I think he would be happy with that. If he could just be a king who could just do his whatever, sure. But, like, that's the whole point, is, like, Netanyahu is only doing this to keep himself in power, to keep himself away from facing any kind of punishment. So we have a very, very serious problem going on in the Middle East right now. And the United States, I'm afraid, with Biden, I think an Iranian war would definitely happen. If Israel pokes Iran hard enough, or just numerously enough, if they just keep doing it, and Iran eventually strikes back in just the right way that kind of forces the international community to get involved, especially the United States, Biden would totally go with it. Because so far, the United States has not pushed back at all against any of Israel's actions. We don't care when they strike at people they're supposed to be negotiating with in good faith. we don't care that they strike those people in other nations. We don't care that they do it in Iran. We, right now, are not condemning the mass civilian center bombing of people in Lebanon. Like, we have not pushed back at all. We have been completely silent on this matter. The only thing that makes sense is this is another attempt to do it. Because, again, this is a one-time thing. You would think we're going to save this for when we really need it. Right? Why use it now? Because this is the kind of thing that starts a war. Okay? Again, if a country did this to the United States, the declaration papers would already be written, if not signed by now. The United States would be at war with any country that did this to us. Right? So, like, Israel, as far as I can tell, just keeps poking the bear, hoping that Iran gets involved, because they know the United States will come and save them. And I think Netanyahu's calculation is, hypothetically, if Harris wins, but a war with Iran is already going full steam, Harris will not be able to back out of it quite as easily. I think Netanyahu is trying to corner whoever the next president will be into this position of a war with Iran. Because why else do this? You know, the only justification so far has been, oh, they're terrorists, they got what they deserve. It's like, how do you know that? Again, how the fuck do you know that? Whose word are we taking? Where are the warrants? Who signed this shit? Who's their lawyer? When did they get their day in court? And again, this was done in civilian population centers. You're lucky one of them wasn't a bus driver. You're lucky none of them were in a fucking plane. You're lucky none of them were standing next to one of those giant propane tanks or refueling their car at the gas station. Like, this shit could have been way worse, and it already is, because children have died from this. And yet everyone wants to call it a masterstroke or dismiss it as, well, that's what happens in war. Fuck you. Innocent kids are dead today that would have been alive if this had not happened. And again, what was the point of doing this? Why do this? Why unleash this? And all the ramifications of it, much like the nuclear bomb, it's not going back. Every intelligence agency on the planet is now trying to figure out how to turn your personal cell device into a goddamn bomb. Was it really fucking worth it? Last point I'll talk about this. If a month ago, I or anyone on the internet had come to you and said, hey, Kyle, they can blow up your phone. They have that power. They can do it anytime they want. They'll blow up your phone. Who's they? Right? Who's they? You know, the Jews. They can blow up your phone. If anyone said that to you a month ago, if Marjorie Taylor Greene tweeted, Jewish phone bombs, we would all rightly call her an anti-Semitic piece of garbage trash. But now, if you say, hey, the Jews can blow up your phones, that's in the realm of possibility now. Like, for conspiracy theorist people, this is fucking fantastic for them, seriously. Like, Jewish space lasers don't sound that fucking weird today. Right? Like, I've got a fucking pin right here that mocks Marjorie Taylor Greene. I bought this pin and they sent money to anti-Semitic organizations on my behalf. Yeah. The secret Jewish space laser core pin I bought. Because it was so fucking stupid and anti-Semitic what she was saying. Jewish space lasers start California wildfires. If you had people yesterday who were, let's say anti-Semitic adjacent, they weren't out and out, you know, they weren't, they really weren't, but they were on the fence. Like, do you realize how many people you just pushed into anti-Semitism with this? Do you know how many conspiracy theory, white supremacist assholes are going to run with this right now? This is gold to them. You just fueled anti-Semitism across the Western world, because now every single one of those motherfuckers can go on to their podcast and say, the Jews can blow up your phones anytime they want. It's an evil. See, their hands are in everything. They control all the tech companies. See, they can blow up your phone. And we, the normal people, can't deny it outright. That's the thing. The Jewish space lasers causing the fire thing was immediately bullshit. All of us were like, that is the stupidest fucking thing I've ever heard. If somebody comes to you today and says Jews can blow up your phone, I can't say that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I can't say that's a crazy conspiracy theory. I can't tell that person you're fucking wrong. I can't. 'Cause it fucking happened. If you don't like anti-Semitism, if you don't think it's fair to judge an entire race of people for the actions of a government, if you think blaming an entire religion, seriously, this fuels everything. The backlash to this is going to be magnificent in scale. You just, seriously, Marjorie Taylor Greene could come out and tweet that the Jews can blow up your phones today. I don't think she'd get as much backlash as she would if she did it a week ago. If she said it a week ago, everyone would rightly mock the fuck out of her and tell her to go back to her knuckle-dragging ways in a cave somewhere and just fucking self-immolate. Go away. We can't do that now. I mean, you could still tell her to go self-immolate in a cave somewhere. By all means, if you want to wish harm on somebody, do it. But we can't immediately dismiss her. It's no longer a crazy conspiracy. Congratulations, Benjamin Netanyahu, you dumb son of a bitch. If your goal was to protect your people, you just did the exact opposite. Anti-Semites, they must have had just one of the biggest cranks of their entire life yesterday. They must have loved the ticker tape, all the video, everything else. The Jews can blow up your goddamn phone is it's gold to them. You idiots. You just fed the beast. And again, you gave us allies absolutely nothing to fucking go on. Again, if a random stranger on the subway or at a bus stop or in the grocery store comes up to you and starts screaming about Jews blowing up your phone, If Marjorie Taylor Greene never tweeted about her space lasers thing, never, right? If that never happened. But then today, she went ahead and tweeted it. She's like, Jewish space lasers can cause forest fires. In light of what happened yesterday, it's still crazy, but it's not as crazy, right? They did just cause thousands of people's mobile devices to randomly explode. There are a lot of satellites. And that's batshit to me. Because I know better, but again, it's like one of those things. It's no longer out of the realm of possibility. Is it likely? Fuck no. I think it's the dumbest thing ever. Why? And also, why the fuck? None of it makes sense. There's no motivation to do that. But now all of a sudden, it's like if you just gave anti-Semites all the gasoline they could ever need, their recruitment will go up because of this. Because you can't just dismiss it out of hand anymore as the ravings of some lunatic. It's now the world we live in. Yay! The best thing for anti-Semitism right now would be if a non-Semitic country started doing it too. If Russia started blowing up all of Ukraine's cell phones, at least then we'd be like, see, that would be my only defense. See, it's not just the Jews, guys. Come on. That's fucking crazy. That is absolutely crazy to me that is the world we live in, where now it's like, if somebody says, yeah, some crazy conspiracy theory involving the world's, one of the world's most oppressed races, like, now it's like, maybe? Thank you, fucking Netanyahu, you goddamn moron. You made the world you live in and the country you run less safe by what you did. Like, seriously. Anyway, that's all I got for me. I don't know when this is actually going to go up. I hope it's going to go out today. I tried to film early. You may have noticed the sun kind of coming up over here from my window, because my kids are still asleep and the cats. So hopefully I can get this out today. But again, I'm having software issues. If nothing else, it will go out audibly, because I can do that quite easily. But anyway, get vaccinated. There's new versions of COVID out there. Yay, thanks again. So be sure to get your flu shot and your COVID shot, and the COVID shot hurts. It's very sore. It sucks, but whatever, you got to do it. You don't want that shit. So anyway, take care of yourself, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.